Hello BookTube, Sarah here, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm coming to you with my weekly reads for December the 9th, 2017. So first of all, before I get started, I want to thank everybody who was nice enough to leave a comment on my video that I did for the Harlequin rewards points, because in that video I decided to try and shoot it on my camera phone, and everybody seemed to really like it. They said the video and audio quality was far superior. The only one kind of drawback comment that I had, and it was fine, I'm glad somebody pointed it out because I didn't notice it, is that around the video there happened to be like a really thick black frame. Well, last night I did some searching online and I figured out how to remove that. So fingers crossed that actually works and you guys aren't seeing it this time. I do know that I can also add video to these because I pull them from my phone and upload them to my computer. And the last time I shot it, my camera, like right now I'm looking at the camera itself, it's weird for me to see myself moving, but I have to keep in mind that I've got to look at that little dot at the top of the camera or the phone. But the last time I had it flipped, so it was actually over here. And I think that's why when I pulled it into the editing software to add the pictures, it was actually flipped upside down. So I'm thinking this might alleviate that problem. It's all trial and error. I've also already shot about 8 minutes of this video, and then I realized that there was this really weird flashing happening. Like it would go like dark and then light again in the background. So I hope it's not doing it again now. I could see it out of the corner of my eye on the video screen. But what I did was I actually closed the window. Like I had the blinds open, and it was really nice to have the natural light, but I don't know if that was causing some havoc with the Christmas lights and things like that. So I closed the window and I'm going with my studio lighting, if you will, the lamp that I have perched up on top of my yarn bins across from me right now. So I hope you guys like this. I hope this works. If this works, I will be so super happy because I am really pleased with the quality of these videos. So yeah, let's jump in and get started with our weekly reads. So first of all, as you guys like to know, I like to talk to you guys about the tea that I'm drinking. And this is in my new David's Tea mug that I got a couple weeks ago. I think I got it on their Black Friday sale because they had these on sale for like, what were they? They're usually $25. I think they were down to $15. So this mug has an adorable little fox on it and an owl. And it's very, very like, it's wintry without being Christmassy. Does that make sense? Like this is absolutely a mug that you could use year round. Like, yeah, he's wearing a little scarf. The little owl's wearing a little scarf. But that's not Christmassy. That's winter. Do you know what I mean? So the tea that I'm drinking is actually not today's tea from the David's Tea calendar. It's the only one, I think, in the entire calendar that I really don't care for that I've had before. And that is Forever Nuts. I'm just not a fan of that nutty tea flavor. This is a new one that I just bought today at Walmart when my husband and I went grocery shopping this morning. Celestial Teas introduces holiday teas every year. And the one I've gotten before, but this one I hadn't gotten, and it's called Sugar Cookie Sleigh Ride. And it's not bad. It's not the most fantastic tea I've ever had, but I'm enjoying it. All 4 of the teas that I bought are all caffeine free, which is great. So they make great evening teas to have, maybe with a cookie, maybe a Christmas cookie. So there's the Sugar Cookie one. I also got Candy Cane Lane, which I've had before, which is a green tea. This one's a herbal tea. So that one's a green tea, but really yummy. The other 2 are Sugar Plum Fairy, which is like a plummy, spicy kind of tea. And then the last one is Gingerbread Lane, which is, of course, a gingerbread type tea. Neither of those I've tried before either, but I decided to start with the Sugar Cookie one today because, you know, and this mug is just absolutely adorable. It might still be available on the David's Tea website if you guys are curious. And did I mention, because like I said, I've already shot 7 minutes of this video and had to redo it. This is a color change mug. So that little fox, as you can see, he's getting kind of darker because the tea's cooling down. He's like, if you just had this in your cupboard, you wouldn't see the fox. I mean, you'd see like just the outline and it's all in gray. And then when you add the hot liquid to it, the fox appears. So it's really, really adorable and I do love it. So let's get on to talking about the books. All right, let's start with the books that I finished this week because I finished 5 books this week. So the first one that I finished, and this is in the order that I completed them in, is Miracle on Fifth Avenue by Sarah Morgan. This was narrated on audio by Jennifer Woodward, and it is the 3rd book in the From Manhattan with Love series. You guys know I adore this series. I give this book 4.5 stars. It has a 4.08 star rating on Goodreads, and I was lucky enough to actually get 5 challenges completed out of this book. So the first one was, of course, my Triple RC challenge for December, my Romance Readers Reading Group challenge. And that was for challenge number 2, which was Happy Anniversary, which was read a book that another member has on their shelf that joined in December of any year. And if you guys watch my December TBR, you know I hunted for a person who had this book, so yay. The second challenge was for the Candyland Quarterly Challenge. This was for task number 19, which was Peanut Brittle House. A cottage made of peanut brittle with peanut plants growing outside. Read a book you have a feeling you will go nuts over. And I did. I love this. The next one was for the Million More Pages, group challenge, for the KMMP challenge, which is the radio station type challenge where every week you get a different genre of music and there's all different songs listed and each member has to pick a different song. So the song that I got, or the song that I picked because it was going with the book that I was reading or about to read, was Where My Girls At, and the artist is 702. I've never heard of them before. This week's challenge was girl bands. And it said, read a book with a number or a question mark in the title. Well, Miracle on Fifth Avenue has a 5, so it fit the challenge. The next one was an easy one. It was for the Anti-Stress Holiday Challenge put on by the Romance Readers Reading Group, where it's essentially any book that you read that has a holiday in it, you can count it towards the challenge. This was my 3rd book for this challenge. And the last one was for the A Million More Pages Rocking Around the Christmas Tree, which is a new challenge that I'm doing where essentially it's, I think, 15 or 16 different Christmas songs, and they have different prompts to go with them. So this one seemed really fun. And because I'm reading nothing but holiday books, I figured I'm going to be able to fit these somewhere. So this was for challenge number 7, which was the song is Blue Christmas, and it's read a book from the Books That Made You Cry list, or a book with a blue cover, at least 50% blue. Again, I think this one fits the challenge. Guys, I loved this book so much. I love this series. I highly encourage all of you to please go out and pick it up. There are some sexy times in these books, but they are still really fun reads. The base behind the story, this is not Ethan. This is Lucas and Eva's story. Eva's the 3rd of the 3 friends. Paige was the first book. Is it Georgie? Oh my gosh, I cannot remember the character's name from the 2nd book. And then this is Evie's book. Evie's a petite little blonde, bigger chested, blue-eyed, curly blonde hair, looks like a little pixie. And she often gets, looked down upon or looked at only a certain way by certain people. And she really is a very smart girl. She has a cooking blog and she runs the business with her friends, like this kind of concierge type service that they have that's discussed in the first 2 books. And I adore Evie. And she essentially is hired by this man named Lucas by his grandmother to decorate his apartment for Christmas, his penthouse apartment on Fifth Avenue in New York City. And he lost his wife 3 years ago, tragically, in a tragic accident. And he kind of really hasn't celebrated the Christmas season ever since. And there's a backstory to that I don't want to get into because you need to read the book. But it's their story that the 2 of them are kind of stuck in this apartment together during a blizzard. And it's absolutely wonderful. Guys, I keep saying it. Please read this series. Right after this one, I didn't realize there's a novella that was put out by Harlequin. And it's only available on the Harlequin website. And how it went is it came out last year in December. And they released another chapter every single day from the 1st to the 25th of December. I didn't know this. So when I say a chapter, I mean, if you were to type it out on like a Word document sheet, it would be less than a page long. So it's essentially a 25-page long little novella. But it's one of the side characters. It's their story, and it's called A New York Christmas or something, I think. But I do now have it to read, and I think I will try and, it's 25 pages. I might even read it on Christmas Day this year, just for fun, because I'd like to finish that before I get to the next book in the series. So yeah, so there's the first one. The next book that I finished this week was The Christmas Shoes by Donna Van Leer. This is the first book in the Christmas Hope series. I gave this book 4 stars, and it has an average rating of 4.22 stars on Goodreads. These ones that I'm doing for the Christmas Hope, the 24 Days of Christmas Hope read-along with Elizabeth of Lizzie Faye Loves Books, I'm not counting these towards challenges. I could fit them into challenges at certain places, but I thought, let's just keep these separate, you know what I mean, and leave this as the read-along as we're doing it. So I did not count this for any challenges. I really, really enjoyed this story. For those of you who don't know, it's actually, I, I can't remember how it goes. I think the book was based off the song. And I know the version by Alabama because, of course, I listen to a lot of country music. And it's a really, really sad story. It's a very hopeful story, but you have to go through the darkness to get into the light. And that's what these books are reminding me of, very much so. But a little boy whose mother is dying. She has cancer, ovarian cancer. And, you know, you get the whole story, and then at the very end, you're actually getting a dual story with this little boy and him with his mother, and leading up to her unfortunate passing, along with this man who has spent his entire adult life being the caregiver and the provider, and he's working, and his marriage is falling apart because he was kind of picking work over family. And then him and this boy have a chance meeting in a department store on Christmas Eve, and it changes both of their lives, essentially. And it's a wonderful, wonderful story. I really enjoyed it. It's not very long, and I really do recommend it. So the next book that I finished was Breakfast with Santa by Pamela Browning. I gave this book 3 stars, and it has an average rating on Goodreads of 3 stars as well. I got 4 challenges completed out of this one. So the first one was the RRC December Monthly Challenge for challenge number 5, which was Wear Brown Shoes Day, which I think you had to read a book that had shoes on the cover, or the author's first or last name had to start with the letter B. Well, the author's last name is Browning, so I think it really did fit well. The next one was also for the Candyland Quarterly Challenge. That was for task number 20, which was Peppermint Forest. A snowy thicket of peppermint candy canes. Read a holiday romance or a book set in winter. This one was really easy. I just slotted this book in because it was one of the last ones that I had to complete. The next one was also for the Anti-Stress Holiday Challenge. This was the 4th book. 4, that's 4. The 4th book for this challenge. I can count. And the last one was also for the Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree Challenge. And it was for number 13, which is the song All I Want for Christmas Is You. Read a book by an author whose first or last name initials is an M or a C, because the song was originally done by Mariah Carey. It says middle initial does not count, or read a romance novel. This was a romance novel. So yeah, I like this one. This was a reread. I read it a number of years ago, and I didn't really remember the story all that well. But it starts off with this man who's an ex-Marine named Tom, and he's kind of coerced by his sister to play Santa at a breakfast with Santa about 3 weeks before Christmas. And there he meets Beth, who is the mother of 5-year-old Mitchell. Mitchell is a royal pain in the you-know-what. Now, I am not a parent, and I would never tell anybody how to raise their children, but some parents need to be told. This kid ran ragged. She essentially wanted to be his friend. You can't be his friend, you have to be his parent. So that really bothered me throughout the entire story, that this kid got away with whatever the heck he wanted. But for a good portion of the story, he actually wasn't even in it, because he went to go spend the holidays with his father, which is, of course, where Beth and Tom start their relationship. And then, you know, the story goes from there. It's a really sweet Christmas story. It takes place, the bulk of it takes place leading up to Christmas, and then after the holidays, leading up to New Year's and stuff like that. So this story does continue on after the Christmas holidays, but like I said, the bulk of the story does take place during the holidays, and it's a really, really sweet and cute book, and I really liked it. Mitchell, like I said, the kid kind of drove me nuts some of the times, and it wasn't necessarily him. Kids need to be told, you know what I mean? So it was more, I would put the blame on Beth for that, but, you know, again, I am not one to judge somebody's parenting skills, especially a fictional character in a book. But you know what? It was a really, really cute little holiday read, and I enjoyed it. The next book I read was Merry Xmas, and this was by Sheila Roberts. This was narrated on audio by Gia St. Clair, excuse me. This is book number 2 in the Life in Icicle Falls series. I gave this book 3 stars, and it has an average rating on Goodreads of 3.81 stars. And I got 3 challenges out of this one. First one again for the Candyland Quarterly Challenge, and I may add, this completed the challenge for me. Is this the one that completed the challenge for me? Yes, this book completed the challenge for me. I got all 30. Now, originally I had only said I wanted to get 15. Like, that was my goal, was 15. I got all 30 of the challenges completed, plus the 6 bonus challenges, so yay me. So this was for task number 17, Lollipop Woods. A forest of rainbow lollipops which resemble trees. Read a book with a colorful cover or an LGBT book. So obviously this one has a really, really colorful cover. I hunted this one out because I didn't feel any of the other books I was reading this month were really like colorful. Like I know, like if you look at Miracle on Fifth Avenue, that seemed to be a really colorful cover. But in my opinion, colorful means a whole spectrum of colors. Do you know what I mean? So this one fit the bill. And also I got this one for the Anti-Stress Holiday Challenge. This is my 5th book. And for the Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree, I got challenge number 15 completed, which was Frosty the Snowman. Read a main page genre of fantasy, or a book with magical elements, or a book where one of the words in the title ends in Y. And of course, Mary ends in the word Y, or in the letter Y, so it fit. Now, the first book in the Life in Icicle Falls series, you guys know I did not care for if you've been watching my channel for a while. The characters drove me insane. And I even debated on continuing on with the series. Well, then when I ran into this one, when I was looking for a book with a colorful cover to read that was holiday themed, and I saw that Audible has this as part of their romance readers package, I thought, okay, I'm going to go for it. It's on audio. Audios are fairly easy for me to listen to. Even if I don't care for the book, I still find it easier to get through the audio version than I do through the ebook or print version. So, I read it, and I liked it. I actually liked it more than I liked the first one. The one thing I don't like so much in this series is that there seems to be multiple storylines going on in every single book, and I don't think that's really needed. Essentially, all the storylines revolve around ex-husbands. And the main, I guess if you want to call it the main story, is the mother, whose name I cannot... See, this is the problem when you have so many characters in a book, is that I cannot remember who was who. Cass. Her daughter Dani is getting married. Dani's only 20 years old. And she was being a bridezilla, which kind of drove me crazy, that she wanted everything her own way. Her grandmother broke her wrist, and she got mad about that because Grandma wouldn't be at the wedding. I would be more upset because my grandmother broke my wrist, not the fact that she can't come to my wedding, but whatever. So Cass's ex-husband was going to come to the wedding, and Cass was like shocked that Dani wanted her dad to walk her down the aisle. Well, from what I understood, he wasn't a bad father. Like, he just wasn't there. He sent child support checks and all those things, and he took the kids when he needed to. He might not have been there every day, but it's not like he beat them or he was an absent father. Of course she's going to want her father to walk her down the aisle, but whatever. That was that. And then the second one was Charlene. She owns the restaurant in town, and her ex-husband has come back, and there's some fishy things going on there. And then the third one is about Ella and her recent ex-husband. The two of them are actually sharing a house together because they're waiting for it to sell so then they can get the money and move on with their lives. And it's their story. So, you know, all these three stories kind of accumulate together. Plus, you've also got the other friends that you met in the first book. So that was the one thing that really bothered me and took the star rating down for me, is that there was just far too many characters. There was way too much going on, and I think it could have been condensed quite a bit. And maybe, and my personal opinion when I see authors do this is that they have an idea, but that idea isn't strong enough to carry on a full novel on its own. Maybe these would have been better as novellas. Just a suggestion. But again, a 3-star from me is not a bad book. I enjoyed it. I just didn't love it. And the last book that I finished this week was The Christmas Blessing by Donna Van Leer. This is book number 2 in the Christmas Hope series. And I gave this book 3 stars, and it has an average rating on Goodreads of 4.26 stars. I like this one, but not as much as the first book. Excuse me, sorry. The first book really tugs at your heartstrings. This one I actually found resonated a bit more with me than the first one, because this one had a lot to do with pediatric cardiology, about a little girl who received a heart transplant and a little boy who had a heart condition that sounded very similar to my own. It was a good story. It wasn't fantastic. I like these. So far, I'm almost done the 3rd book in the series. I should finish that tonight, but I still really am enjoying them, and yeah. So let's get on to what I am currently reading. So what am I currently reading? My current audiobook is Blame It on the Mistletoe by Jill Shalvis. This is the 2nd book in the Heartbreaker Bay series, and this is being narrated on audio by, of course, Karen White. I'm really enjoying this story. It's about, oh my gosh, Willa, and I'm having such a hard time remembering characters' names right now. I'm totally drawing a blank. Probably because it's a different name. It's like Keen. Willa and Keen, excuse me. Yes, that's why I couldn't remember it. It's not a simple name like Tom and Beth. And they knew each other in high school. And unbeknownst to him, he kind of broke her heart. And she now owns this rather successful little like pet store where they kind of do like different wacky things. Like they're doing a pictures with Santa, which I've seen a lot of. Like actually my vet's office does that as well. But she also like performs dog weddings or cat weddings, and she boards animals. And he shows up on her front door one day because his great aunt left her Siamese cat in his care, and he works construction, so he had to drop the cat off somewhere. And of course, the relationship develops between the two of them. It's a really, really cute story. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. Willa is all about the Christmas spirit, and Keen is not. And it's just kind of come to head about the whole thing that happened in high school. So yeah, it's a really, really fun book, and I just love the series. I love Jill Shalvis. I'm really enjoying this one. The ebook that I'm currently reading is Mistletoe on Main Street, and this is by Olivia Miles, or Mills. I'd have to look. Sorry. The cover will be right here. This is a really fun second chance romance story. I love this cover. I think it's absolutely stunning. And Grace comes back to town for the holidays, and her father had passed away in the spring. And of course she runs into her ex-boyfriend Luke, and you know, she had left him, you know, right out of college so she could go and pursue a career as a writer. And she did write a very successful novel, and then her second novel was not so successful. And now she's kind of trying to decide what to do with her life, and she's, like I said, back home, and she's dealing with her two sisters and her mother, who is still grieving, and her sisters are having their own kind of difficulties. So I am really enjoying this one. It's very, very well written, and yeah, I can absolutely see me thoroughly enjoying this book, unless it takes some weird turn that I might not like. And the last book that I'm reading right now is The Christmas Hope by Donna Van Leer, the third book in the Christmas Hope series for our read-along, and I should finish that one up tonight. I am enjoying it. It's about foster parents and things like that, and yeah, it's good. So anyway, guys, that is it. I'm not going to show you guys any of my knitting or anything because I actually, I'll be honest, don't have it near me. But I promise I will show you guys next week because I've been adding the squares to my sock yarn blanket that I've shown you guys before. But yeah, this video has probably been long enough. I really, really hope the quality is good, and I hope you guys like it. And I will talk to you all in my next video. Until then, take care and happy reading, everybody. Bye.